Hello YouTube. Once again I'm back to debunk the Sandy Hook shooting fully exposed. Like every other video I've made and every video I will make from now on, I must point this out. I know it's nonsense, but for some reason people cannot believe me. I do not work for the government. If you're legally able to own a gun, own a gun. If you're legally able to own 100 guns, own 100 guns. If you're legally able to and you want an AR-15, go right ahead. Okay, if I made myself clear again, okay, let's get on with this video. The whole point. One particular disturbing aspect of this is the pattern involving other large disasters, such as 9/11, the Aurora shootings, and Columbine, and the London bombings, just to name a couple. One for Truth sheds light on this.
Hey guys, this is Brian again from One Truth for Life.
Hi,
Got a
Brian.
quick trivia question for you. What is the 2005 London subway bombing, the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks, and the December 14th, 2012 Sandy Hook massacre have in common?
Don't know, tell me.
Well, what they have in common,
I'd like to point out at this point, this is the Sandy Hook School. See the sign? See how it says still disarmed and vulnerable? It does not say this. I've read so many people talking about this. It doesn't say this. This is photoshopped. This doesn't say this. People, come on. You know, because you see it doesn't mean it's true. Look it up if you don't believe me. It's amazing. It's just amazing. People will believe anything. And if half the people who watch this video saw this, we're talking over 5 million people believe this is what the sign says. Yeah, it says this.
is that a version or versions of the Department of Homeland Security was either running drills in the exact same area at the exact same time, or they were conducting class courses. Now, if you'll remember, July 7th, 2005 was the incident of the London subway bombing. Now, there was a guy named...
Now I'm going to stop it here because they don't talk about Sandy Hook at all here. All they do is they talk about the London bombings where these people were having a drill. During the drill, the bombings happened. And so they interview someone who was in that drill. This person gave an interview on the record. This isn't something that was his room was not bugged. He gave an interview. So again, if they're trying to hide these sort of things, he came forward. He did not keep any of that a secret. So what they're trying to contend in this video is that during every attack, massacre, what have you, there's training going on. And it's a pattern that, even if it's in London, they're having drills. So they've said that Sandy Hook was having the same thing. And so what I'm not going to show you is this guy going on and on about London because it doesn't have anything to do with Sandy Hook. I understand they're just pointing out another drill that was taking place. They also talk about September 11th and how on September 11th they were having a bioterror drill. But as we all know, September 11th wasn't a bioterror attack. But again, sure, they were having a drill. They don't mention that the Pentagon was having a drill about a plane hitting the Pentagon on 9/11, which to me seems a bit more coincidental because they did have a plane hit the Pentagon. And they also don't talk about the Oklahoma City bombing where the ATF was there the day before. Again, to me that seems more of a coincidence than the examples they're giving. So I'm going to fast forward. Sorry, but if you want to watch the original, go right ahead. I think I've explained it enough. They were having a terror drill on this event, and they had bombings at the same time.
Now check this out. This is very eerie.
Very
On
eerie.
December 14th, 2012, both the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA were conducting a course entitled, and you can see it here, planning for the needs of children in disasters.
This is
You can
true.
see right here, this is from the state of Connecticut, the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Emergency Management, and Homeland Security. I'm not making this up. As a matter of fact, I will provide the link to not only this site, but also the link that we're going to go to from this site, so you can get a screen capture and you can record it before they take this down.
He just finished saying, get to this site as fast as you can. Get a screen capture because it's going to be taken down. This video has been seen over 11 million times. Do you think this has been taken down? Of course you do. Because you believe him. Because he said it on the video, you believe him, and now you're going to this site as fast as you can to take a screen capture. It's still there, folks, after 11 million views. But maybe they can explain that if they believe that everything's a hoax and everything is a cover-up. If it is, why is this still here?
But you can see right here, it was scheduled for December 14th, the very day of the Sandy Hook tragedy.
This is true.
From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., the exact same time.
Now, I don't know what time they expect a course to be taking place. These are normal business hours, you know? And to get technical, the attack was basically from 9:30 to approximately 10 a.m. So it wasn't from 9 to 4 that this apparent drill that they're talking about, how Sandy Hook was a drill and this course was taking place. Sandy Hook wasn't from 9 to 4. It was 9:30 to 10. But that's just getting technical.
In the exact same general vicinity, and we'll talk about exactly where that was in a second. But
He just said in the exact vicinity. So if you think another city is the exact vicinity, well, then sure.
FEMA L-366, that's the course number, Planning for the Needs of Children in Disasters. When you click on this link right here,
I'd also like to point out at this time, do you see the screen right here? Now, I'm not going to tell you to take a screenshot of it. What I'm going to ask you to do is actually look at the screen, and you see how the only thing here seems like month of December 2012, the only course they were having was on the 14th, and it was the FEMA L-366, Planning for the Needs of Children in Disasters. So he goes on to click the link.
it takes you to this page.
Now, all this talks about is what the course is about. Children in disasters, emergencies, needs of children. So this is just a basic course on helping children in disasters. That's what it's all about. Spooky, right? Then he goes on to show you where the course is being taken. It's being taken in Bridgeport, Connecticut. As you can see, it's 46 miles from you. They didn't expect 400 or 4,000 people for this major event, this course. They expected 40, and out of those 40, they couldn't even fill it. See? 5 people didn't even show up. So they only had 35 people show up. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Couldn't even sell it out. Here he's gone to Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he's showing you an overview of where it is. And then he claims that this road, Main Street, which turns into Summit Street, which then goes to the highway, is all one road. It's just down the road. He's implying that Main Street goes straight to Newtown. He says this. And as you can see, just from his own map alone, which isn't true, right? Does Main Street go to Newtown? I mean, you could say Park Avenue goes there if you really want to get technical, because they all end up in Newtown if you get on the freeway here. So, okay, I'm going to let him talk.
This is Bridgeport, Connecticut. Peg A is the location in which FEMA would conduct their course on the same day at the same time the shootings occurred.
Okay, so I want to point out this is it's his medical center. This is just an office building basically. There's nowhere in the parking lot, there's no open fields, there's no tents, there's no emergency vehicles, there's nothing for you to actually do training wise. It's a class. You sit in a class and you just listen to the instructor. This is all you do. There is no training going on here. Physically, there's nothing to do here. It's just a building. You sit in a chair. But I'll let him go on.
The two locations were connected by the same road.
Connected by the same road, which I just showed you. Main Street turns into Summit Street. So I don't know how it's connected by the same road. You could say Morningside Drive is connected by the same road. Bronx Avenue, because he just goes and shows you the path. But the path, are you trying to tell me that Main Street goes directly to Newtown? Come on.
A mere 20 minutes.
20 minutes, he says. So now, not only is he saying that this street goes directly to Newtown, now he's saying if you got onto Main Street and drove down Main Street, you would end up in Newtown in 20 minutes. Now, if the government were saying these things, I'll tell you right now, you'd be all over them because they're wrong. Main Street doesn't go to Newtown, does it? And I'm going to show you that, again, he's wrong. It won't take you 20 minutes. Now, you might say, oh, you're just nitpicking or whatever. I'm just kind of putting this to the same standard that you would put the government to. Because if there was a video out there saying about this drill and they said, oh, come to our drill, it's directly down Main Street from Newtown and it will only take you 20 minutes to get there. And then it turns out, yeah, Main Street doesn't go to Newtown, and of course it's not a 20-minute drive. But I'll show you that in a second.
Drive to the north.
So there you go. I will show you the exact map he just showed you. Now we have the map exactly the same as he had. And this is St. Vincent's Medical Center, is where the class was being held. And of course Sandy Hook Elementary is where the massacre was. So when we zoom in, because I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to mislead them. See? Main Street, Summit Street. Then they get onto the highway here. So, again, this is not the same road. If this was the same road, you would just keep driving down Main Street and end up in Newtown. So you could say any of these streets are directly driven to Newtown by their standards. You take any street you want here, and if it was here, they would say, yeah, it's directly the same road. Just take this Park Avenue, and you'll end up there. You could say that about anywhere. Manhattan, yeah, take First Avenue. You'll end up in Newtown. Yeah, of course, if you keep turning and doing this, doing that, sure. But as you can see, it is not the same road. And I don't even know if that's being nitpicking or actually showing the truth. But one other thing I'd like to point out. The soonest you could get there is 32 minutes. But as you can see, 39 minutes or 41 minutes. It's not 20 minutes away. And here, in current traffic, which the route they're talking about, it would take you 34 minutes. So we're talking almost double the time. So I think if you are wrong that the time it would take you is double, well, I think you're wrong. If someone said to you, oh, it's only an hour drive, and it ended up being a 2-hour drive, well, is that right? No. So to suggest that this is only a 20-minute drive is wrong. But some people will probably be like, oh, you're nitpicking. Well, I'm not, because he's wrong by half of the time. It takes you double the time to get there. Here I'm at the ct.gov site that they're talking about, the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. And like I said before, you see on the screen here, my screen looks a lot different than his. A lot. He was trying to imply, in my opinion, that only on December 14th were they having this course. Only the December 14th. Because that's the only thing that's on the screen, right? But if you look at the screen, December 3rd, FEMA L-366. December 6th, FEMA L-366. So this is 8 days before the event. The day of the event, FEMA L-366. The next business day, if you look at the calendar, so basically, in technical terms, the next day, they had the same course. But of course, it's not the next day, it's the next business day. But as you can see again, December 17th, FEMA L-366. So to imply that The only day that this class happened was the 14th is wrong. And yes, they're all 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's still here. I'm not going to tell you to hurry, hurry, take a screenshot. Here's November 2012. Again, look at this. This is November 17th. FEMA L-366. Was there any massacre on the November 17th? No. Here's the class again. November 27th. FEMA L-366. Planning for the needs of children in disaster. So, again, and if you click on the link, they couldn't even fill 30 seats. We're talking a third of the seats were empty. Okay? So as you can see, up to a month before the Sandy Hook massacre, they were having this class. So to imply that it was the only day is wrong. But in defense of these people who made this video, if they didn't have a class on the 14th and they only had the class on the 6th of December, they would have said the same thing. It wouldn't matter that it was 8 days before. They would have just said, oh, and look at, they had a class about this right before the disaster. And again, the 14th didn't have a class. They would have said the exact same thing about the 17th. They had a class right after the 14th, which was the disaster. Ooh, they knew something was going on. You see what I mean? It doesn't matter that they had these classes 6 times. The same class 6 times. They would have said the same thing. If there was no class on the 14th, the fact they had it on the 6th or even the 17th would have just been the same evidence. And even the fact that they had it a month early would still be proof to them that it was something to do with FEMA. And people would believe them. People want to believe that it's a hoax. So when you show them any sort of proof, doesn't matter what the proof is, they're, oh yeah, that's proof. And I've heard people talk about how it's just down the road. I've heard people also say this class was being held in Newtown. It wasn't just down the road, was it? And it wasn't being held in the vicinity of Newtown. It was in a whole other city, 40 minutes away. Double the time they talk about. So they're being a little loose with the facts here. Because, as you can see, it's not just the day of the attack. I wholeheartedly agree. Yes, it happened on the 14th. But even this fact alone, that here's the class. See, this is class. The fact that they couldn't even fill 40 seats shows you this class was not important enough for them to even fill it. So if you're telling me FEMA was holding a drill about Sandy Hook shooting, well, how come they couldn't even fill the class? Now, the other thing I've heard is that they held this class on the 14th so that FEMA, medical response teams, EMS, etc., were delayed in getting there. This had nothing to do with it. Within 30 minutes, everybody who needed to be there was there. They have ambulances closer by. Danbury. Danbury is closer. In fact, that is where they were evacuated to. Danbury. They were not evacuated to Bridgeport. Bridgeport isn't close enough. They sent them to Danbury. And Danbury didn't have any drills by anyone going on that day or any other day, but they won't point that out. I gotta admit, I'm a little confused about what any of this has to do with anything, but this is what they talk about. Also note, the Newtown Fire Department trained with Homeland Security for more than a year before this happened. Why is that? And honestly, folks, I have no idea what this means. Also, Sandy Hook has been under a special beautification project for 10 years. I don't know what this means. Okay, their beautification project. So what? I'm sure other cities have this, right? What's the significance here? But back to this. The fact that Newtown Fire Department, which is just local people being your fire department, are trained by professionals who deal with tragedies, Is this a red flag? And they've been doing it for over more than a year. It wasn't, they just started that week. Here they're saying, they're admitting for more than a year before this happened. So I don't know where the red flag or conspiracy here is. This is a small town fire department. This is Homeland Security. What's the problem here? Now again, not to nitpick, but it says that the Newtown Fire Department trained with Homeland Security for more than a year before this happened. So you would think this is a year earlier, right? It's a year. They only talk about a year. But if you actually go to this course that they're talking about, see this? This isn't just over a year. This is over 2 years. So again, why they need to, I don't know if it's lying, but why do you need to skew the facts? And yes, it's actually in Newtown, Sandy Hook, Connecticut. See? And almost half the class wasn't full. This is such an important course. They couldn't even get 30 people to do it. So to insinuate again that the Newtown Fire Department trained with Homeland Security for more than a year before, why didn't they put for more than 2 years before this happened? And they didn't keep doing it over and over again. It's not like they kept having courses. This isn't a monthly thing, a yearly thing. This was over 2 years ago. You could almost say 2.5 years ago. But no, they don't write that. They write a year ago. Here's the proof. This is State of Connecticut, Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. Here's the course. They talk about all the different things they want you to actually know what to do. Because this is training. So they know what to do if there's an emergency. Something wrong here? And again, I don't know what this special beautification project is. I have no idea. So there's the video for this. Basically, all they're doing is saying that everywhere there's a massacre, there's a drill going on. Doesn't matter where. Of course, training doesn't happen. You know, these things don't happen. You want your personnel who respond to these things not to have any training. There's training all the time. That course alone had been presented 6 times before and after the massacre. If they were having it just for the massacre, they didn't have to have it a month before. And they certainly did not have to have it after. And if you go to that page, it is still there. So don't worry, people, about taking screenshots. It's still there. And to imply that the Newtown Fire Department somehow was with Homeland Security for more than a year is wrong. It was over 2.5 years ago. Why they need to make things up is beyond me. It's easy to find the truth. And then when you find the truth and they lie, why? It doesn't help your cause. It hurts your cause. And Bridgeport, Connecticut is not 20-minute drive away from Newtown. It's 40 minutes. And Main Street in Bridgeport, Connecticut does not go to Newtown directly. By their logic, where they show you it turning, then going onto the highway, by their logic, you could take any street in that city and say it eventually ends up in Newtown. Could you not? Any single one. By that logic. So they go out of their way to say things or show things that are lies. They're just wrong. And when you get just little things, why not say it was 40 minutes away? What's so wrong about that? Why do you have to bring up the fact that you think it's the direct route? You know why? Because all I'm reading now is people saying, oh, they were having a drill just down the road. That's what I've read. Just down the road? You think 40 minutes away is just down the road? No, it's not, is it? And do you think FEMA having anything to do with the Newtown Fire Department just a year ago sounds ominous? It wasn't a year ago. And even if it was a year ago, so what? It wasn't last month. It wasn't the day of, right? They're having all these training courses all the time. I'm sorry, but it was over 2 years ago. So there's the latest video. Like I've said throughout all these videos I've made, they just keep, I don't know what they're doing. Because they're, okay, I'm not going to say they're lying. But I'm just going to say they've been wrong every single time they put something on the screen They're wrong. They talk about Gene Rosen and all the jobs he's done. They talk about what kind of weapons were in the car. Everything they talk about is wrong. And 11 million people just see this on the screen. These people could write anything. Don't you think it's weird that Gene Rosen worked for Homeland Security for 100 years? Do you think anyone would look that up? No. They just read it and go, wow, Gene Rosen worked for Homeland Security for 100 years. Well, obviously he was in on it. Okay, that's the video. I'm not going to put much more into it because this is just all wrong. Sure, they had a course that day, yes. It wasn't just down the road. It didn't impede any response. If anything, it didn't change any of the events that day, did it? Lanza killed himself within less than a half hour after entering the school. And the only reason he did that were because first responders were on the scene. So no first responders were impeded by some course being held in a different city, not just down the road. Okay, thank you for watching. Watch out for my other videos. Watch my other videos. And thank you.